how's Kenosha recovering?
Well, before, about this time last year, Kenosha was growing at a tremendous pace. I mean, compared to throughout Wisconsin and really throughout the country, one of the leaders of growth in the entire country. And the government here, the people here, the schools here, the parks, everything here is fantastic, and it still is. But then in August, we had the unfortunate situation. We had the shooting, and then we had the riots that followed for days afterwards, and it changed. I mean, the location we're at right now was a thriving office furniture place, and it's one of the places that got burnt, and it's a terrible situation. We had nights of unrest here. We had people that were in their homes afraid of the thousands of people that were marching through the streets. Oh my God, we had, I would say, most of the sheriff's departments in the state and police departments in the state of Wisconsin came, and we had about 1,800 National Guard from Wisconsin and throughout the 4 different states too. They all came to help protect Kenosha, and we had at one point over 3,000 boots on the ground just to protect us for what boiled down to about the last week of the riots and unrest here. And it was a very difficult time. It was a very stressful time. Law enforcement here, we'd sleep in our cars at the command post for an hour or 2 hours every single night, and we'd just get up and go back to what we were doing. It was a very difficult time, and I remember just hoping and praying that it would come to an end soon.
But there are also people coming from Portland going to Washington, D.C. that seemed to take a left-hand detour once they found out what happened to Kenosha and found out where Kenosha was. Did you ever get any sense in terms of what percentage, roughly?
I would say half of the people that were here in Kenosha, and it truly is a rough guess. Yeah. I mean, we had people coming down the interstate from the north, we had people coming from the south, and they were coming off the interstate, so we were monitoring that. And we had buses of people coming here to do protests. And it was kind of amazing. We had people from all over the country. We had plates. We had the FBI and federal agencies intercepting people that were coming here that were threatening to do major harm to our community and to people here.
So before I move on to how Kenosha's doing today, I'm an accountant, I like numbers, I'm on stats. So in the end, how many businesses were burned? I mean, this one was completely destroyed. When I drove through right afterwards, I thought a couple dozen, maybe 3 dozen. And then how many people were arrested, charged? How many people have been convicted? Do you have any?
Oh, I don't know that. Okay. I think it was about 30 businesses that were looted and burned. But I mean, it's a small percentage of what Kenosha is. I mean, a lot of people, after this happened, thought that all of Kenosha burnt to the ground. It didn't. I mean, it was some small mom and pop businesses, and it was extremely dreadful that happened. But most of Kenosha was still up, surviving, thriving, and that black eye that we got last August and September, I think we're bouncing back very nicely.
So one of my messages for law enforcement is, I certainly get the sense the vast majority of Americans support you.
Absolutely.
I mean, they are so grateful for the service, for the sacrifice. I mean, the risk you and your loved ones are taking each and every day. I'm always begging people, please don't be discouraged, but I know they are. Talking to sheriffs around the state and really around the country. Can you talk a little bit about that? I mean, the officers that are quitting, the difficulty in recruiting, just speak to that.
Back when I applied for the sheriff's department, there were hundreds of people that were at my test. Now, in that list that we created lasted 2 years. Now we're testing every 6 months. About 60 people apply, and we have people that were right after the riots that quit, or even people that quit during the riots, and their families wouldn't let them go to it. So it's becoming very, very difficult for that. And I don't know what the future is going to hold for law enforcement. It's something we all need.
Well, again, thank you for your service and sacrifice, that and your family. And I think that's an important message, so that people who are considering law enforcement do realize it's not the negative drumbeat. I mean, there's some of that, but that is a very small majority, and the vast majority of Americans are just so appreciative. So God bless you and thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Senator. Appreciate it very much.